55.
Top 5 intriguing games in week 3. And these are not A&M and Miami and some of the other ones we've talked about, but other ones maybe you've forgotten. I did throw one in here we talked about it a little bit, but as far as real kind of things that could be interesting overall this week, and probably some of the better matchups, at least evenly matched up. Number 5, FSU versus Louisville. Louisville loses the game. Scott Satterfield is probably in the Scott Frost land.
Fired?
Yeah. Even though they beat UCF last week, losing to Syracuse and not letting Malik Cunningham do his thing in the first week was kind of inexcusable. If FSU beats them, if FSU loses, Mike Norvell, his honeymoon from the first 2 games kind of ends. But if FSU moves to 3-0, Louisville's coach is really in hot water.
I sort of agree. I don't think he's getting fired like Scott Frost is in week 3. I don't think it's like that much of a situation. Man, guy just won last week. So it's not like Nebraska losing like their 100th one-score game. I think that's definitely a situation that like you got to be wary of if you're Scott Satterfield. But I don't think like who the hell's Louisville? Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're opening our coaching search. Okay. Like, who cares? I mean.
It's not basketball.
No. So, I mean, what are they going to do? What's Louisville football? I mean, granted, they don't have a total lack of history. I don't want to get Louisville fan all caught up in arms, but, like, this isn't Ohio State opening up early or anything like that. So, I think that would be a move of just being totally unaware of your place in the market to open up after week 3. So, I mean, it's an interesting game. I definitely think that the result matters. I just don't think that, like, either coach is screwed if they don't win the game this weekend.
Norvell's probably not, but he really could use this one too, starting 3-0.
No, like both coaches need to win. I just don't think Satterfield's going to get fired if he loses to FSU this weekend.
Yeah, I was talking to Alexis, and she says it's a heat just really hot around him right now.
Oh, it is, yeah. I just don't think it's hot like week 3 you fire him and have an interim. Like, what are you going to do if you're Louisville? Yeah. Who would your interim even be?
Who was fired first last year? Was it
Clay
Wells?
Helton.
Oh, Helton at USC.
Who's in a great situation now.
Yeah. Right, probably where he should be. Right where he should be. Number 4, BYU versus Oregon. BYU coming off the big win versus Baylor. Oregon, got a win last week against Eastern Washington, but this will be big to see if Oregon, they're ranked at 25th. I think people are giving them the benefit of the doubt that their loss was to the juggernaut at Georgia. But I think, based on the fact that Georgia was super physical, BYU showed to be super physical, this is a bad matchup for the Ducks here. And you never know what kind of Bo Nix you're going to get. But this one interesting to me as Oregon tries to just find itself early in the season.
Well, Brigham Young is good. We know that. Oregon can be a up and down. This is a game, if Brigham Young gets up early and they just start strangling them like a boa constrictor, the way they play football.
Yeah. Number 3, Penn State versus Auburn. Craig mentioned this earlier about Brian Harsin. Auburn's looking for an excuse to get rid of him, and getting beat by Penn State on national TV they're all national TV, but this is like a marquee non-conference game. This one right here might be the spark that starts the fire. Not saying they're going to do it in week 3, but they're trying to get rid of Brian Harsin in Auburn.
If you get fired for losing to Penn State, what does that say? I understand they're looking for a reason. It's a good football team they're playing.
They're not looking for logical reasons. Yeah.
It's about more than it's a lot more complicated than just you lost to Penn State.
No, I know the story. I know they're just like if they could win ugly, he might get fired by somebody. Yeah.
But I think the part is that you wait till after a loss like this so that the fan base is not in their rational mind to go, I lost to Penn State. Good, I'm still mad. And then they don't really realize what they've said until much later. Okay. That's why you do it after a loss. Number 2, Houston versus Kansas. These are 2 kind of cardiac teams here. Houston's much deeper than Kansas, but you cannot, based on their offense, take Kansas lightly this year. So this one, I'm very interested to see if Kansas is somehow pull it off and be 3-0. That would be, a football feat not seen in many, many years in Lawrence,
since
Kansas.
Mark Mangino.
Yeah, I can't imagine a 3-0 Kansas team. I don't know. I think they could finish 3-9. The fact that they were 3-0 at one point is such a giant step forward for that program.
I mean, yeah, it'd be a huge win for Kansas. They have to go on the road, and with Houston, they've been in multiple overtimes now, so I think they're a little, tired, if anything. I'm not sure that, after only 2 games, that's enough to give Kansas some real advantage, but confidence-wise, the Jayhawks have more. I just don't know if they've got the horses, even with who they have, to go toe-to-toe on the road with Houston. I mean, but still, there's a chance. There's definitely a chance of it. So, yeah, that would be incredible for them to start 3-0, but we'll see. I'm not banking on that being a safe bet just yet.
Imagine where things would be if UTSA takes care of Houston, they lose in Lubbock, and then were to lose to Kansas. They could easily – they're not. They're 1-1. Could be 2-0. Probably should be 2-0 after they give it up 4th and 20, but then would that not be – smoldering fire after the expectations of the University of Houston?
Yeah. And number 1, Michigan State versus Washington. Michael Penix has completely revitalized that offense. Kalen DeBoer has stabilized a program that under Jimmy Lake was kind of fear-mongered, especially what we heard from some of the guys who covered, especially Softy. How about this stat I got off of Twitter today? This is why I put this one number 1. From Softy, from our buddy Softy Mahler in Seattle. The last time that Michigan State won a game on the West Coast, playing on the West Coast, no, was, or I guess a regular season game, a regular season game on the West Coast. 1957, they beat Cal.
What?
Yes. They don't play a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
There's like, since 1957, like 12 to 16 games, something like that they've played out of the West Coast, but they have not won in the Pacific time zone in the regular season.
That's not good news for them with the Pac-12. 2 West Coast teams joining the conference.
They beat, the last time they beat a Pac-12 team on the road, they beat Colorado a few years back, but that's not on the West Coast. That's in the mountain. But yeah, physically on the West Coast, they have it. So, it's been a long time. Sometimes these streaks are streaks for a reason.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game. I think this is certainly one you can circle and see that Washington has a more than a puncher's chance to win. It'd be a great win for them. Like you said, Penix has been great. DeBoer's been great. It'd be a real breath of fresh air. It was just a playoff team a few years ago. It's not like they just fell off the face of the earth. They just had bad coaching hires, and seems like they maybe got one right here. Certainly Michigan State feels that they did with Mel Tucker. So, yeah, this will be a little battle that'll be of definite interest this weekend.
I like the cross-country games, non-conference games. Of course, we're about to have some of those as conference games as well. That's a good list. That's a really good list, some interesting games. I said earlier in the week I didn't think there were many pretty good games. I was wrong. There's a bunch that are intriguing. That's just with that specific top 5. Paul, thank you very much. Levi Caraway, also Jack McKenzie. Thanks to them. Also Garrett Ross behind the scenes running the mothership today. Our sponsors every day since we started in